Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dinks with Kinks. Before we get started, we want to remind everyone to follow us on that social media at Dinks with Kinks on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're everywhere. We're even on TikTok, which we're going to be talking about tonight. So, but that's under at Dondera Streams. I am your intrepid host, Mr. Dondera, but tonight I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking. The very brilliant and very sexy Mr. Shep will be joining us.
Oh, baby.
You knew that one was coming. You acted a fool, and he's going to call you out first.
Absolutely. And the real brains behind it all, and as brilliant as she is sexy, Miss Rebecca.
Hello.
All right, before we get into it, I want to give a caveat to 2 weeks ago smoking episode. Mm-hmm. We had an awesome person reach out to us, and we just picked their brain. And I feel like we learned so much more about smoking. And I'll probably add some addendums to like our social media of what we learned and corrections in more detail.
Thank you for contacting us. That was awesome. I did learn a lot. It was very interesting, and thank you. So.
Yeah, always reach out to us if we cover your kink. Reach out to us. Tell us how we did.
Reach out and touch him,
and let us pick your brain because we want to learn more. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the Beastie Boys because they have known to let the beat
drop.
There it is.
I was like, I can't. Oh God! I was like, I can't let that go by.
I refused. I couldn't do
it. You're welcome, John. You're welcome.
Thank you. I would have done it had you left me hanging, but I'm glad.
Yeah, you would have dropped.
I'm glad you didn't drop me. You didn't leave me hanging, so I dropped.
Yeah.
What are we actually talking about? Because I don't know anything. I want to learn.
So, I've been on TikTok. I've actually started getting a little bit of a following, and I'm also on what they lovingly nicknamed Kink Talk. So, and there's actually a lot of debate right now between sub drop and dom drop, and there's a lot of people who don't believe that doms can have a dom drop. There's a lot of people that believe that dom drop is aftercare is not important. They also believe that, you know, it's back and forth. It's a lot of very different opinions. It's very polarizing right now, and there's a huge debate amongst all the kink and sex educators on TikTok right now. And I just thought that was incredibly interesting, and just sort of wanted to, get our opinions on it. And also, since we were discussing it, you don't know a lot about dom drop or sub drop.
I don't. My first question was define what do you mean sub drop and dom drop? Like what does that mean? Is it like a raindrop? Is it wet?
And sometimes wild.
Yeah. Sub drop and dom drop are both the feeling of after a scene, any type of scene, not even just the hardcore ones, but any type of scene where you experience a high of some sort, the adrenaline endorphin rush of the scene. And afterwards, it can be literally minutes to days after a scene. You experience a sense of sadness, sort of melancholy. It varies from person to person, sort of like subspace and dom space differ. So it's that feeling of depression and sadness and just overall general, just like bleh. Like, and it
okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like coming down off a euphoria high, and you're having like the withdrawals. Okay, see that I understand. I think 90% of the confusion I had was the terminology, and so that was my biggest question. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? But that immediately answers a lot. And well, so we have a sub and a dom here
We
to
have two
talk
doms.
about that. Well, yeah, we have two doms. I'm literally just a question boy tonight.
Okay.
Well,
As
now that
Chef
you've
was giving me
had-
grief earlier,
I'll say
I'm a switch tonight.
now that you have an inkling on the definitions, though, it can still give you something to reflect on your past to see if you've experienced these still,
Yeah.
even with this little intro to knowledge.
And that has helped a lot. So now I have a little bit more to go on. When do you think this became like a kind of a hot topic as far as like in the scene? Or has it always been there and we just weren't aware of it? You know, like your average layman just wasn't aware that this was a thing?
I think it honestly on TikTok, because TikTok has opened up, and social media in general, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these things have opened up a whole new exposure to the kink community that things are being discussed now. And I think somebody had made a comment on one of the high profile creators profiles, and they answered the question, and it just started this whole snowball effect of dom drop, sub drop, what's more important, aftercare, all of this thing. And I like the fact that it opens up the conversation. I'm a little, I don't know, just getting the correct information is very difficult in that aspect,
Well,
So
we've shared the correct information on what the topics are. Everything else seems more of opinions, one way or the other.
is this
Everybody
a
has an
common?
opinion.
Well, yeah. They're like assholes, and we love to play in them. The more important question is: do you guys, as a sub and a dom, do you guys believe this is happens often, like, or is this like something that? Okay, I'm gonna compare this to like postpartum depression. Only because people know what that is and all that. Is it in that regards of where it doesn't happen to everyone, but it can happen and happen worse for other people? Or is this something that we all experience? We're just maybe not aware of it.
That's a good question, because I'm not everyone, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just wasn't like, if this is something that like, is that the argument that's going on, that it in fact does exist or doesn't exist, or
Yes.
is the argument?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's whether it exists, especially right now, I think, because everybody sort of subspace and sub drop is very mainstream. Everybody knows about subspace and sub drop because, well, they're the subject of your, all of that. But a lot of people are honestly not. The conversation is starting about whether dom drop. I can't- dom drop. I can't.
Come on.
I'm John
Get-
tonight. I'm John tonight.
Yeah, well, you are essentially me tonight, and there it is.
The conversation is whether dom drop truly exists and whether dom space truly exists, and which is more important to take care of the dom and the aftercare. And if dom drop does exist, is it more or less important than sub drop and sub aftercare? That's the discussion right now. So,
All right. Is this something either one of you have experienced real time, like personally?
Yes.
Yes.
And are y'all willing to talk about your experience with it?
I am. I wouldn't be on this podcast if I wasn't willing to talk about it, I guess.
Well, that is very true. But like I said, consent is key.
That is true.
And because like I said, I I want to get y'all's personal opinion because I don't think we talk about ourselves near enough as far as our personal experiences. And I think this is something that definitely affects all of us, regardless of our, positions as far as Dom or sub. So,
Yeah.
I tell you what, Miss Rebecca, why don't you go first? And give us like kind of like what it is for you, like that feeling.
The
and how
drop
long
or
it-
the subspace or just all of it in general?
First one, then the other.
and then the third.
Subspace
And then
for me.
the tickle.
Subspace for me is when I can actually, when I feel safe. I know because of past trauma that when I start feeling safe, I let go. And so then I start I stop, my brain turns off, and I'm hyper aware of my body and what I'm feeling, and I'm not thinking. And I think that's for me why I like being a sub. It's like I don't have to think. I can just let it go quiet, and it's pleasurable and it's happy, and it can be really, really hot and intense, and it can be safe, and it varies. But in all, it's a very safe, warm, very like being hugged by a weighted blanket for me mentally. And drop for me is actually really hard. I don't do a light drop. I literally come out of subspace like I have just fallen off a cliff, and it's almost instantaneous. I don't think that I've had a time where I've been in that headspace and come out of it where it's like, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine. No, I literally come right out of it and just drop. And that's why when I have to communicate with the person, I have to go, okay, it's really important that if we're going to do this, that immediately, when we get here, that you untie me, that you talk to me, because when I'm falling out of that headspace, I need to hear the person's voice. I need to be comforted. And, so for me, it's very much a very scary thing. It's not just sadness. It's my brain is going a mile a minute, and I'm getting this rush of feeling and thoughts. And, and then it just takes me some time and care, and then I can start getting out of that. But yeah.
So you're okay. So it's for you. It's a very sudden thing. Like it's a crash almost.
Yes.
It's like crashing, like off of like any type of euphoric experience. I would imagine, like you have that crash, like the shock wears off, the adrenaline stops flowing. Okay, and that makes a little sense. How long does yours normally last if you're properly cared for? I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to assume that this is like let's go in the positive notes. You were properly cared for.
Proper aftercare. Proper aftercare. About a half an hour to an hour where it's really intense and it's really like I'm really coming down off of it. Half an hour, about an hour. I'm still feeling the effects of it into however long after, but it's not all day. It's not the days after. I come out of it a little quicker than some people because it's so intense. I get all of it all at once. Proper aftercare, it's about an hour average. I'm like, okay, I can think, okay, I'm normal. I'm normalizing. I'm stabilizing. So, yeah.
So now I kind of want to ask, and like I said, I never want to think about the negatives of any type of play like this. But if you weren't given the proper aftercare, is it a more dramatic effect? Like,
yes,
as far as like
that, without proper aftercare, and I have experienced not proper aftercare before, it can last for a while, and it's one of those it's this awful dread. It can last for days. So
okay, well, like I said, aftercare is very important. This is something that we should always focus on. If you take away from anything from this episode, absolutely take away the aftercare is key. to any sub dom relationship. I mean, to be honest, even if it's not sub dom, I mean, aftercare doesn't necessarily have to be caring for a sub or a dom afterwards. I mean, after sex cuddles, after sex, snacks, whatever is that, is your comfort, because any type of
After
sexual
sex
activity.
cleanup towel, of course.
Yeah. Warm
That is-
towel,
that is-
apparently. Apparently,
Yeah.
I need to negotiate that. Warm towel.
Warm
That's
steam
yeah.
towel. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, anytime you have any type of euphoric high, be it subspace or just sex in general, coming down from that is definitely, and if you're not into subdom lifestyles, the greatest example I could give is after you masturbate, that immediate regret you feel.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, I'm not wrong, am I?
I don't ever regret masturbating. So
No,
I don't know.
I don't mean like regret, but it's just like this brief moment you're like, and regret. But it's the body's reaction to the endorphins going away.
Yes.
And that was actually the first time I've ever experienced that. Was I get that even like after just masturbation, because once my endorphins go up, the immediate reaction after they're done and I'm done, because I'm gonna be real honest, 90% of the time masturbation doesn't have a lot of aftercare. It's just like, and we continue. At least for me. I mean, I don't know how y'all guys do it, but I'm just like, and back to work.
Well, maybe you should. Well, maybe afterwards you should just massage the sack a little bit and give yourself some care.
Yeah. Go have a snack.
Pet
Or watch some
yourself.
cartoons.
Yeah,
Tell
do a little
myself-
self-petting. Yes.
Tell myself
Okay.
I'm worthy. I'm worth it.
You're a good boy. You're a good boy, John.
But I mean, and that is just
Who's
to
a
give
pretty
like some
boy?
like
Yes.
context to people who this is not necessarily their kink, but they're listening because they're curious. And I
haven't been in subspace, but I felt the drop with somebody I wasn't in a dynamic or a scene with. I have. I mean,
well, I mean, at this point in time, the drop is it's chemistry. It's your body's immediate reaction to endorphins being gone. It's like same as coming down off a drug. Because essentially that's what's happening. You have all these endorphins, you have this adrenaline released into your body.
Or
It's
coming down
glorious.
off of listening to Rebecca's voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I often when she's going on a tangent, when she's done, I am sad it happened. I'm sad the ending came.
oh, I was like, it's sad that I went on a tangent. Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm sad it's over. I
It's
had
already over
I had Rebecca
now.
drop.
You had
Rebecca drop.
Rebecca drop. All right, Shep. Okay, so now we know kind of from the sub side, and like I said, this is very isolated. We're talking about two people, not a culture. But let's get like an opinion from the dom side. Like, is it similar? Do you experience it immediately, or is it like one of those things where you just kind of feel like crap after days?
I don't know. Do you
have to
seriously
focus.
want my opinions on this? Because they're
Yes,
quite
I do.
serious.
No,
No,
that's
this is a very serious subject. I mean, we're gonna crack our jokes, but this is a serious subject, and I
Well,
definitely
yeah,
want
it's
to
quite a
hear.
serious subject, which is why I feel like the whole debate is quite asinine.
I mean, it's
So-
the internet. All debates on the internet are asinine.
oh yeah.
No.
There's
true.
one going on right now that's sort of pissing me off, but we'll get into that.
We're not there yet.
We're not
But I
there.
want to
We're
hear.
not there yet.
I honestly do want to hear your opinions of it, Shep, because you were probably one of the most professional doms I know. So I know your opinion is probably going to be the most realist.
Well, going back to some of those debates, they say Dom drop is not a thing, and or what, not as important or as a sub drop and so forth. One is more important than the other. That's kind of bullshit right there, because they're both important. Stop trying to balance the scales or tip them one way or the other in emotions and such. All emotions are important. Anyways, so the Dom drop. Yes, you could say I do experience it because for you that have heard me say it before, you know, I have been a massage therapist and such like that, and even the tattoo on my chest represents a healing hand, so that's why I'm an enabler and a healer, so why wouldn't I experience a bit of a drop or regret, even though my enablings are wanted and deeply appreciated? Causing pain is naturally against my nature.
That's actually a really good perspective on that, because yeah, when you are definitely, especially because 90% of the Dom work I've seen you do is of impact play.
Yes.
And yeah, you are. We're roommates, and you come in and try to nurse me all the time. You're like, you need to eat, you need to do this. You're very nurturing in your nature, and you're a good soul. And so I could see just that alone being the cause of Downdrop. I do want to say, as far as the debate goes, this podcast's official vision is both sides are very valid, both sides exist, and you should never debate people's emotions, and you should never negate those emotions, especially if the argument is you don't deserve to have those emotions, because having them doesn't negate the other. And that aggravates me that people argue that.
Yes, like for those that argued the fact of a Dom drop isn't a thing, it's not real. So that would mean that all Doms are emotionless.
And as much as I like to call Shep the Vulcan of the household, he does very much have emotions, and I've seen them. Just at the beginning of this podcast, he was sassy. we know he's got the sassy emotion.
Yes, but this has me a little bit beyond the sassy.
I know.
I personally believe that taking care of the aftercare of the Dom, for me, I am going to state that this is my opinion. This is not an official stance of anybody on this podcast except my own. I feel like Dom aftercare and Dom drop is actually, for me, more important. I can come out of mine. Mine's great. I did ask for this. Yes, I'm going to come out of it. But I asked that person to do some really questionable things. I asked them to hurt me, and I'm not going to be with somebody. I'm not going to participate in anything with somebody that doesn't care about me and that I don't trust. That's the type of person I am. I'm not just going to go out and do this willy-nilly with random. So I know that person cares about me, and so asking them to whatever, and I care about them. So afterwards, I want to make sure that they're okay and that I'm okay and that I asked for it, and that just reassuring them. So yes, I'm coming out of my headspace and I'm dealing with my drop. But at the same time, once I'm able to get on a stable emotional footing, I instantaneously just go, it was wonderful. It was great. Thank you. Like very praise and cuddles and care, because that's important to me, that the other person knows that I am there for them just like they're there for me.
You know what? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is what it really boils down to. Especially if this is an intimate relationship between two people. And even if it's just sub-dom, this is still very intimate. And you should care for each other. This wouldn't be a debate if people just understood that it's, when you're going into this, it is a intimate thing, and your job is to take care of each other in all aspects. And be a human being. At the very core, if everyone goes, you know what? I'm going to treat you like a human being deserves. And if both parties did that, they would, this wouldn't be a debate. This would be like a sub helping a dom and a dom helping a sub. It's a mutual leveling of the field, as it were. This is the moment you come out, the moment both drops hit is the moment where you're not dom and sub anymore. You're two humans who, essentially, and I'm not saying this is always the case, but let's say, for example, you guys love each other, or you guys are attracted enough to each other that you have decided to do this.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, this is not like, you bump into somebody in line at McDonald's and suddenly you're like, where's my aftercare? We bumped shoulders in the line at McDonald's. No, this is something that you've discussed beforehand. And if you can do the horrible, degrading, or naughty acts, whatever they may be, degrading or not degrading, or sexual or even not sexual, a lot of times these acts are not sexual in nature when it comes to dom and sub. But you guys have consented to those, and I believe that anytime you consent to those actions, you're in a contract of responsibility to yourself and to the person you've consented to. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
I think consent is a contract. I'm not saying it's legal binding contract. It's a ethical contract.
But you also need to discuss aftercare before you even start. Like, that's also a thing, because I can't expect, while I'm going through subspace or even sub drop, if I'm going through the drop, I can't expect them for me to say, okay, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. No, they need to know beforehand, before anything happens, okay, if we're going to do this, I'm going to need this afterwards. This is how I feel safe. This is how I need to be cared for. This is what I need. Snacks, water, hug.
Mr. Fluffy.
Yeah. Whatever it is that you need to feel better and feel good and feel safe and feel cared for afterwards, that needs to be discussed before anything happens. That all needs to be discussed and in a conversation and communicated. And it goes vice versa. Like, some doms, I'm not saying all. And I actually, I watched an interesting video on that. Oh, did I freeze?
No. You did freeze. I'm sorry. I was looking at our updated wheel. I looked over and you have frozen, but that's okay because we're an audio podcast.
Yeah. So yay. Okay.
But it's okay.
Yeah, we're an audio podcast.
Since we're an audio podcast, we don't have to worry about those such things.
We really don't.
Okay. Well, there it is. So some doms, just like some people, they just want to do self-care. They don't need somebody else. They just need space. They need time alone. Some people just need to sort of just deal with that. And that, again, also needs to be communicated. And, and that might change. They're like, okay, well, maybe I don't want to be left alone. Maybe I do need this person to hug me and care for me. But, I mean, that all, again, it's okay. If you say and beforehand, okay, they need some space, you give them space. And that's how you can care for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right after I tell somebody my kinks, between the time I tell somebody my kinks and my pants come off, we're going to discuss what we're going to do afterwards. Just because, I want to know, are we the type of relationship where we're going to watch cartoons afterwards, or do you just need some quiet time? Do you need the hot towel? Or
I don't know. I've never experienced the hot towel. I sort of want the hot towel now.
Just roll up a moist towel in the microwave, 15-20 seconds, you're good.
I have encountered people that are just like, I want to get up, I want to go clean myself, I want to go do my own thing, maybe soak in a bath, have some quiet time, and come down on their own. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Like, they're like, this is a process, and I've got to, like, let this melt off me. But then I've
It's
also
so
talked to
sticky.
people who are
I must get this off of me.
yeah, no, I mean it's just seriously, a hot bath and a cup of wine and some just quiet alone time is sometimes just as helpful as
Aren't you our adorable little housewife?
Ah.
I don't like that. I want to watch cartoons and eat pizza rolls. That's my aftercare.
Oh.
Yeah, watch cartoons, eat pizza rolls, and say things like mathematical. That's
Mathematical?
yeah, it's an Adventure Time. It's okay. Listen, that's my aftercare right there.
It gets really tongue twisted, so
But I very much enjoy aftercare, and I didn't realize, like, I enjoy giving aftercare more so than I realized. Before I knew what really aftercare was, it had already been something that I had been doing. Because, like, afterwards, to keep myself from coming down into the drop, like, what do you need? How can I help? There's a reason I own a burrito blanket, because my favorite aftercare is burrito blanket cuddles and cartoons. Just we're going to cuddle and we're going to wrap up in a burrito blanket and we're going to eat snacks and laugh, because sometimes we do some very raunchy shit, and laughter is the best. It's the heart of the soul.
I need reassurance. I think for me, because I sweet trauma.
You're a pretty girl. Such a pretty girl.
I need to know that I am not being used. I need to know that.
Unless that was what you consented on before.
That is true, but I usually never do. That is not one of my things. That is not on my list. Other people might. That's okay, but it's just not for me. I need the reassurance. I need to hear their voice. I'm a very auditory person, and so I need them to talk to me, and more so than touch me is talk to me. And I need you to just not be silent. The silence is where my brain gets all crazy. For me, it's
because
talking.
she has the oral fixation fetish, so that means things coming in and things going out.
No, absolutely. When it comes to stuff like that, I'm one of those people. Talk to me. Tell me what's happening. Mm-hmm. Reassure me, or at least tell me what's running through your head.
Yes, you're a pretty boy too. I know.
Oh no, I don't care.
Boy, John.
Yay! Stop it! Shut up. Shep. And honestly, I do want to do an episode on aftercare, and we'll probably space that out farther out, because we have talked a lot about aftercare and the importance of it throughout this entire series of podcasts, and tonight more so than anything, because it is honestly the greatest way to combat drop. Shep, what type of aftercare do you prefer to receive as far as a dom? Like, as a dom?
That's hard to say, because I don't... I'm not really used to being a receiver. I'm a giver. So there's a wall there.
I know, I understand that.
And just because it is experienced, like I said, it's still a focus on the other person. So,
and I think
that's why I was, when it comes to the aftercare, we have established that, at least in my opinion, that, yes, there is both drops. Yes, both are equally of importance, but should be the proper timing for things, because the dom is going to do their job throughout the whole process if they're any level of dom, so they are going to focus on the aftercare of their sub first, and then perhaps when they feel that the sub is back to themselves and properly taken care of, that's when they should, or probably were more willing to, let their walls down and allow the aftercare as well.
And yeah, I actually fully understand that. And I think maybe that's where a lot of the debate comes from, because proper DOMs have that, or at least as far as I've seen in my experiences, proper DOMs have that, pretty much what you just described, that charge of care. What's the exact word? The duty of care. Like, I put you in this position. I have been in control. And it's not that I'm like, relinquishing control, but it's my sense of like purpose to make sure I bring you back from the place I've taken you. So I can understand that. And that fascinates me.
The comment that Rebecca made, plus it also can go out to some of the more bratty types of subs.
Guilty.
When it is time for aftercare, try not to force the care of your Dom first, because they will fight against it, and they're focused on you, so allow them to do so. Accept that.
There are moments to be bratty. There are moments to be a brat. And then there are moments to just be with that person, like John said. There's moments to just be human and be and accept the care and accept and be a good human.
Yeah,
and be
and
two
that
humans
even goes
together
for
in that
the
moment.
ones that just really feel strongly about giving the aftercare to the Dom and such, and so that's what's driving them and so on. Like I said, that's the time when you probably would want to let it go for now, because again, the Dom is always going to be focused on you more, and if you try to shift it back to them, then they might kind of feel bad about it and make things worse on their side, or just that might actually make them a little frustrated with you because you're trying to stop them from doing their job or their desire. But when it's all said and done, that's most likely when they'll drop their guards and let themselves be cared for.
And you'll know that moment, though. You'll know.
Yes.
I think you'll know.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like,
guys,
there's no major cue or anything. You just know. Okay, we're good. All right, now's the time.
You know what, guys? This has been a fantastic episode so far, and we are nearing that time because we're almost at 40 minutes, and
Yes.
I don't want to drag on because we are going to eventually approach subjects that we are going to talk to in the future.
Yes.
And I think going forward, we should take a very strong stance that we are kinky people, we are dom subs, fetishists, and sex-loving maniacs like the rest of the people who probably listen to this podcast. But at the very end of it, we're all human, and outside of the activities that you enjoy for sexual gratification, kindness goes a long way. And you can't forget that you should always practice kindness.
Yes.
Unless you're a dirty, filthy slut and that's what you're into.
I mean,
Unless that would be totally uncalled
Facts.
for in scene, but off scene, yes.
Exactly.
always.
Yeah.
facts.
Out of scene. Out of scene. But I want to thank both of you guys for kind of diving into this very personal subject and letting me just kind of sit back and go, let me ask the questions. Let me not know what I'm talking about. Because I worked really hard to not research this and not look into the entire thing so I could come into this blind. Which has made it really hard because my TikTok algorithms really want to contribute to that, and I just have to completely swipe as soon as I see kink talk. I'm just like, nope, not gonna do it. Not this week.
Not this week. Oh,
Not this
my
week.
King Talk has been blowing up.
Yeah, I know.
Blowing up. Like,
that's the thing is like,
there's another one that's actually on the heels as this one was like ebbing down. There's another discussion that just literally just hot button
and we'll probably talk about it in the future.
Yes.
We have a brand new wheel.
Oh yay!
And I want to give everyone like a hint. It's just some of the things that we're going to be talking about in the next year. Because I absolutely have picked a year's worth of topics, just like we did the first time around. And if you as an audience, yeah,
okay,
thanks. This will be episode 52 or 53.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we had no idea. We record these without talking about what episode are, and sometimes we record them multiples at a time, just so we make sure we're never like far behind. But yeah, we are at a year at Dinks with Kinks, so happy birthday to us. We are 1 year old. Not into age play though. So you guys want to kind of get a like sneak peek at some of the things we're going to be talking about this year?
Always.
All right. We have everything from just very plain porn. I don't mean
I was
we're going to
actually
be
thinking about that the other day.
I don't mean we're going to be talking about
Don't you think about porn every day?
Oh,
No.
Yeah, but
porn as an actual fetish. Not so much watching porn for your fetish, but watching videos like your traditional I'm putting a porn on because the act of watching a porn turns me on. We got everything from Victorian lifestyles fetish. Yep. Shaving.
I might have a new thing.
Yep. We've got shaving. We've got.
I have experience with that one.
We've got body part worship. We're going to be talking about worshiping. There's going to be many episodes on just like worshiping, but like we're going to do a big primal episode of it as far as like body worship and various parts of it and what that entails. We're going to talk about primal play.
Oh, that's one of mine. That is totally one of mine. Oh,
I mean, and we're going to talk about polyamorous, polymory. Like we're going to do a poly episode. We're just going to call it the poly episode because we're going to discuss all of that because, and as I've learned, as I've been looking more into this kink world, polyamory, polymory, there's so many different forms of poly, and they all are very distinct, different things. And it fascinates me. We're gonna have some like.
I've actually that's been a topic because again, TikTok's ruined my world right now. Like so many and it's like I didn't know a lot about it just because of my upbringing. So I've been actually researching it just because it is fascinating to me. It is such a vast, different thing. Like so, I'm excited. I'm excited about that one.
Oh, absolutely. And we got so much stuff. We're going to do a whole episode on brats. So that's going to be a Rebecca only episode.
Yay!
We're going to talk about, this one fascinated me. I put it on the wheel just because it is affectionate cruelty.
What?
So
like
remember,
cussing in French.
No. Remember when we talked about the praise kink?
I
Yes.
mean, yeah.
Now imagine this to an extreme. This year is gonna have some really fun extremes, but we're also gonna talk some broader subjects. We're gonna dive in more details to stuff we've already talked about, like we're gonna talk shibari, which is bondage, rope play.
About that one too.
We are going to talk about self bondage. I've kind of just taken some of the subjects we've talked about in the past and gone and just grabbed some of the sub-subjects of them because, our first year we talked very broad. And now it's time to get a little more into it.
Intimate? A little more intimate.
A little more intimate. We're going to talk about, do you guys know crying is a fetish?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I know that because like I've never experienced, but I do know that. I don't know why, but I do know that.
So I'm excited. Armpits. Yep. It is a very popular fetish. In fact, I have personal experience. I know 3 people. I have spoken to 3 people. One I lived with, and she is absolutely enamored. Like, her fetish was armpits. And I'm excited to add that to the wheel and talk about it. And I'm going to be talking with her, getting all the details. So when I come into this, I can blow you guys up.
Yeah, just make sure you don't ever say I pitied a fool for the pit episode.
Don't ruin my puns before they happen, Shep, because I had already prepared that. I pity the fool who ruins my puns for that episode.
Y'all.
Hey, I was saying
No.
no to that one. I wasn't antagonizing the time.
No. All right, you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the spin?
Are we on the wheel?
The kink wheel. Yeah. I have added all of our names to the wheel, so we will do an episode
We are not a
based
kink.
on us. We are not a kink, but we are important in the
you're
kink
my
lifestyle.
kink, Shep.
Yeah, you're my kink too. I mean, I have added
our
since this
kink.
episode.
I know.
And Shep, are you going to argue the fact that Rebecca is not in fact a kink? Because if you look on FetLife, which is where we find the majority of our fetishes that we use, individual people can become fetishes listed on there. So the transitive properties that exist means that it is our duty as kink podcasters to put ourselves on that list.
I feel like that needs to be my life goal now. That I need to be on FetLife's kink list.
All you have to do is have 5 people with that fetish. You need
Hey,
to create
all
a
you
fetish.
listeners, all you listeners out there, you know what you need to do.
Exactly.
Make
Because I
your
have
dreams come true,
created
please.
fetishes. Like, I've created like more of my niche fetishes when creating my fetish list. Added stuff to the fetishes thing, and it tells you have like such amount of time to have this many people add this as their fetish, or we delete it.
But why strive to be a simple fetish when you're already a deep desire?
Aw, thank you.
That's right. So, without further ado, I want to tell you what we're doing next week. Spinning the wheel. Oh, it's going to be so
I get
much
so
fun.
much anxiety from this the wheel spin. Anybody else? Shep, do you get a little anxiety from that?
No, I just get the enjoyment of watching your anxiety.
Oh, awesome. Oh, are we going to start live streaming? That's
We are.
that's a legitimate.
We have live streaming. We're going to talk about that next week
Oh my!
on next week's episode.
I need to get my nails did and my hair done.
Get it done, guys. I think when we're talking about next week, when we're talking about live streaming and going out and about into this brand new world of kinks,
Is it public
it's great
play?
weather. It is, in fact, outdoor sex.
A whole new.
Not so much. Yep. Next week we will be going the outdoors. I think we should try to find a way that we can all record outside
I could.
in nature. Yeah, I think we can set that up.
I totally could.
We'll see, dude. Because I kind of wanted to have a little more fun with our episodes and put ourselves in the environment. But next week we're going to be talking about outdoor sex, from public play to fucking in the woods.
I am totally on board with this. I am very excited. I am so excited about that one. Yay.
So, I guess now all we can do is say, guys, it's been a great year. And even though we didn't have Miss Rebecca until 10 episodes in, she has been here since the start.
But we are
In
renewing
spirit.
those episodes, or some of them.
We are. And those will be coming out too. I've decided, instead of replacing the episodes, I think we should just release them as new episodes.
Yeah.
and we're going to call
or you
them
can do like
revisits.
1.5 or 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're just going to have them revisited and just add them. Instead of taking away the crappy things that me and Shep did before we had Miss Rebecca to bring class to our
stop.
lives.
Because
it.
we did crappy things, but we had good guests.
You did
We
have
had
great guests.
we had fantastic guests, and we were a live stream then. That's the thing. Is a lot of people don't realize that we started as a live stream video podcast, and we went audio just so we could talk more detail and naughty or fun things.
One of my favorite episodes before I started, I came on board was the quicksand fetish. I remember listening to that, and that was way before me, and I thought that was amazing. I actually, that was one of the first ones where I'm like, I would actually try that. Like, that was one of the ones where I like that. Like, that's what I like about our podcast is that.
Have we
No.
done the remake of that? The revisit? We haven't?
We have
Okay, well, I know what we're doing next week. No, next week we're talking outdoor sex.
Which
'cause
can
I
go
think-
into quicksand.
Oh, very smart. I know what we're recording next week. How about that?
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, guys. I'm John Undero, and as always, joining me is the very caregiving, the very nurturing Mr. Shep.
Till next time.
And the alluring, always could use the validation, but will never need it because she is fantastic, Miss Rebecca.
And ponytail whipping.
I have ponytail whipping today. I'm very
You're whipping your hair back and forth.
whip my hair back and forth. All right, good evening, everyone. And go on FetLife and make me a fetish because that would be amazing.
And she does whip it good.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.